future is ever evolving. We know it's something that's never fixed. 50 years ago, we never would have thought we'd have self-driving cars, be able to talk to Alexa and Siri on our phones, or that everyday people like all of us could go up to outer space. And we definitely didn't think that cryptocurrency would be changing the future of finance as we know it. But cryptocurrency is here to stay, and your future starts today. Hi, I'm Juliana, and I'm here with my colleague Diane, and we're Puzzle Consulting, piecing together your perfect solution. So why are we here today? Well, we're here to talk about your future and evaluate the cryptocurrency market and provide a recommendation on whether your endowment fund should invest into cryptocurrency. And we're going to do this by looking at our key considerations of the stakeholders involved, the ethicality of cryptocurrency investing, the economic viability, and the legality. We know there's a moral dilemma here. Your university has a responsibility to invest endowment funds in a viable way for its stakeholders. So we'll dive into our insights and begin by talking about those stakeholders. So what we've done is we have evaluated 10 internal and external stakeholders to your university and placed them on a salience model. And based on the salience model, we have been able to identify 5 primary stakeholders. Who are these stakeholders? Well, they're yourself, the senior leadership team, your students, the faculty, your endowment donors, as well as the SEC. We know your investment profile needs to reflect the wishes of these key stakeholders, maximizing returns, providing unique learning opportunities, upholding morals and values, as well as following all applicable regulation. So how will we make sure your investment profile adheres to these wishes? Well, we're going to keep in mind your goals as an institution, as well as 3 important factors. So your spending, which we know will be 4 to 5% of your endowment fund annually, and without spending, there's no returns, right? But when it comes to your returns, these can be very volatile depending on market conditions. And that's where your risk tolerance comes in. As an institution with moderate risk tolerance, you need to decide what percentage of your investment should go into diversified assets. But we know cryptocurrency is not the only form of a diversified asset.
And other universities' diversifying strategies can provide a little bit more insight on how you can form your own asset allocation. If we look at Harvard here, we can see that 8% of their investment policy is dedicated to diversifying strategies in which they invest into cryptocurrency. Now, if we look at public institutions such as the University of Arizona or Rutgers University in New Jersey, we see that their diversifying strategies range anywhere from 10 to 25%. But we want to minimize risk. So we believe that your university should invest 10% of its total endowment fund in alternative investment classes. But what are alternative assets?
Well, if we recall your investor profile, there are about 6 alternative asset classes that are available to you. And when we weigh the pros and cons of these different assets, we can see that cryptocurrency is no more risky than a majority of these assets, and it has the opportunity to provide just as good, if not greater, return yields. So in terms of diversification, the next most viable option for your university is investing in cryptocurrency.
Before we jump into what cryptocurrency options are available to you, we need to think about our moral dilemma. Is it even ethical to invest into cryptocurrency through your endowment fund?
And to do so, we're going to look at 3 key ethical theories. But before we jump to those, we know cryptocurrency is negatively perceived. There's no getting around that. So this is where we need to distinguish the difference between cryptocurrency itself and the act of investing in cryptocurrency. Now, on your right, you can see different negative perceptions of cryptocurrency. But on your left, let's look at the investor perception. You have increased data security due to enhanced blockchain technology. You have more control over your platforms and resources and lower transaction fees. And ultimately, when we look at the environmental impact, there are cryptocurrencies investing into the future that are making material ESG changes in order to substantially reduce their energy consumption. So let's get into the first theory, utilitarianism, providing the greatest good for the greatest amount of people. When it comes to utilitarianism, economically and socially, cryptocurrency would be viewed negatively. However, legally, it would be viewed positively, so the university cannot invest in cryptocurrency. But what's notable here is that this would be applicable to any financial asset that you cannot guarantee returns, which is almost every single one of them. Next, because we looked at the collective, let's look at the individual through libertarianism, acting in a way that promotes minimal intervention. So, socially, economically, and legally, libertarianism would view cryptocurrency as a positive, so your university can invest in the asset. And now that we looked at the individual, let's look at the individual with the least amount of say through Rawls' theory of justice, where we want to make sure to provide help to the least advantaged. Now again, socially, economically, and legally, according to Rawls' theory of justice, cryptocurrency would be viewed positively, so your university can invest in the asset. Now that we've seen through these 3 ethical theories that cryptocurrency is an ethically sound investment, we need to ask ourselves, is this an economically sound investment?
Well, let's look at your 3 options. Let's take a step backwards and look at Tether. It's a stable coin, which means that it's pegged to the US dollar. However, it's also pegged with a lot of controversy, and it uses Bitcoin blockchain. Now, if we take a look at Bitcoin, despite being first movers in the industry, they do not promote innovation through their blockchain, and and it is almost said that it propagates more malicious intent through using its cryptocurrency. Now that leaves us with Ethereum. Their blockchain does promote innovation through their smart contract technology, and following their merge, they are decreasing their energy use by 99.95%, following a proof of work to a proof of stake system. So evidently, your university should prioritize crypto investments in Ethereum. And the Ethereum market, like the crypto market as a whole, has been volatile. But this applies to any financial asset. All of these factors influence market volatility. But because we want to minimize risk, we believe that 0.5% of your total portfolio should be invested into Ethereum. And this should be done over a long term. Many investment analysts have different opinions, but they all know that Ethereum is pointing towards an upward trend. Therefore, to maximize your investment, you need to invest into Ethereum for a strict minimum of 3 years. And now let's look at our next puzzle piece. What are the legal implications of investing into cryptocurrency?
So when it comes to Ethereum in specific, this is where it really comes down to, is Ethereum a commodity or a digital asset? Now the SEC views cryptocurrencies as a commodity, but we talked about Ethereum's merge, where they're going from a proof of work to that proof of stake system. And because of this merge, there's now a possibility for them to be considered a digital asset, meaning they're subject to more regulation. So you need to circumvent this ambiguity when it comes to regulation. And this will be done through a third party. Now for cryptocurrency investing, it needs to go through an exchange platform. And there are regulatory bodies, such as FINRA, that oversee these platforms to prevent investment fraud and illicit activity. So what you're able to do here is benefit from increased regulation around the security of the investment platforms, while also benefiting from the fact that this is a decentralized asset with a lack of an intermediary. You can't have the best of both worlds. So we know you need to go forth with a platform that's regulated by FINRA, and there are two options available to you, Coinbase and Binance. Because Coinbase is very user-friendly, because they are highly trusted by US regulators, and because there are many ways to invest or interest and trade crypto, this is the platform you should move forward with.
And now let's take a step back and look at the puzzle pieces that we've presented with you today. We've identified your stakeholders, the individuals that are influenced and are impacted by your strategy. Then we determined through 3 ethical lenses that it is ethical to invest into cryptocurrency. Looking at different market factors, we know that 0.5% of your total endowment fund should be invested into Ethereum for a strict minimum of 3 years. And lastly, to uphold a universal maxim, we believe that you should proceed with Coinbase to move forward in the most moral and legal way. And that brings us to piecing our puzzle together. It's done, and let's look at our strategy, Ace the Future, which will address, create, and educate. Essentially, through address, we want to engage our stakeholders and implement changes to your investment policy. Through create, we want to establish the proper framework to invest in cryptocurrency and track your progress. And lastly, we want to leverage your research and increase cryptocurrency knowledge amongst your stakeholders. So let's look at our first phase. We want to target your governing board, the media that influences your stakeholders, and your students that most benefit from your endowment fund through the message that you can invest ethically into Ethereum. We will do this through reporting, which means that through quarterly investment meetings, you will bring forward to your university board your new objectives and allocation ranges, especially seeking active disclosure in ESG. Then through a letter from your president, you will be able to display to the media how you can lead other public universities by example. Lastly, through an FAQ, you can answer any questions surrounding the strategy. Next, let's look at our phase 2. We want to have the ideal investment structure in place, and this is by using Coinbase. So Broadridge is an investment management firm that has a partnership with Coinbase right now, and what this does is that it lowers barriers for participation when it comes to crypto exchange. And then, how can we track this progress? Well, through Let's meet Mark. He maintains this management structure, and through periodic reports and complying with ethical standards, we can see that this will be viable in the long term.
So now in phase 3, we're going to educate the students, the public, and most importantly, yourselves. So what we're going to do is we're going to use workshops where we give students experiential learning opportunities. Then we're going to have conferences where you invest in research, and where you attend and host these conferences in order to position yourself as thought leaders. And lastly, we're going to look at your long-term investment strategy, and you're going to reevaluate every 3 years. You're going to look at the need for rebalancing, different cryptocurrencies available, as well as new platforms and new partnerships. And some impacts here are that this strategy will take place over 5 years, and of course with every strategy there's risk, but without risk there's no reward, and this can be mitigated. We were here to provide our recommendation on how you should proceed with investing into cryptocurrency for your endowment fund. We did so through our key considerations and our strategy, Ace the Future, where we address, create, and educate so that you can invest in Ethereum ethically and as an innovator. So, thank you.
One final question. Using the environmental, social, and governance ESG framework, are you for or against the investment of endowment funds from the University Foundation for Cryptocurrency?
All right, that's a great question. Thank you, and very pertinent. So when it comes to ESG, what's really important is you need to separate the cryptocurrency itself in terms of the broad, there's so many different kinds, to the actual different players and what they're doing. And when it comes to ESG, materiality is the most important factor. You can't just tick boxes. You need to make sure that you are in alignment with how you are impacting the environment. So in terms of coins like Ethereum, where they are materially reducing energy consumption by 99.9%, that is a first mover in sustainable innovation, and that would be considered an ethically sound investment.